Princeton was Megan's first choice. It's a rich kid's school, Thomas thought, but he agreed to ask a friend to help Megan's entry. Despite her good grades, she was rejected. She was unhappy, Thomas noticed. She didn't like being turned down. Northwestern University in Chicago, ranked among the best for drama, was her next and successful choice. Securing a place to study theater and international relations at Northwestern was the entry card to the elite. She had chosen a private, highly selective college, renowned as a favorite of rich, well-connected white students. She knew no one there. On admission, she joined the Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority, famous for its Midwestern blondes. She pledged to be philanthropic, care about her sisters, and abide by the motto, aspire to be. Thomas automatically volunteered to pay the annual $45,000 fees. Life was good for Megan. She loved cooking, watching films, and studying drama. She made a host of new friends, including Lindsay Jill Roth, the daughter of Long Island lawyers, who became a lifelong confidant, and Larnell Quentin Foster, an African-American man also studying drama. Spending a lot of time together at events, classes, and productions with Foster, she frequently visited his East Coast home. Thrilled that her son had met an ideal woman, Foster's mother, a pastor, was unaware that her son was gay. Megan's first college boyfriend, Steve Lepore, a baseball player, moved to a North Carolina college soon after they met, thereby ending the relationship. Later boyfriends were rated by a self-help dating Bible called The Rules, subtitled Time-Tested Secrets for Capturing the Heart of Mr. Right, written for women seeking marriage in the shortest time available. Megan acquired a copy soon after its publication in 1995 and brought the book to the campus. By then, she could recite passages by heart. In any relationship, recalled Pretty, there was always an element of marriage in the back of her mind. Each man was judged on how their domestic life as part of a team would look like in 10 years. Thomas Markle noticed the same calculation. During his visits to Chicago, he heard Megan predict, "That's my next boyfriend." Once identified, she successfully seduced the man. "She fixed it," observed Thomas with awe. "She had this ability to control men. She functioned so much better with a man around," he realized. She also saved money by moving into the boyfriend's home. But Thomas was puzzled as to why she suddenly called herself Rachel. She refused to explain the switch, but by coincidence, the sitcom Friends was the current rage, starring Jennifer Aniston as Rachel. As she had been at school, the hard-working young woman was empathetic, always willing to help the less fortunate. She shone in her charity work, including the Glass Slipper Project that provided dresses for local teenage girls for their prom, and a 30-hour dance marathon to raise money for cancer sufferers. She also excelled in drama classes, not because of obviously exceptional talent, but through hard work and professionalism. Pertinently, she resisted the invitation from Professor Linda Gates, the head of the voice program, to study acting in a theater. "You can learn to be a great actress," Gates recalled telling Megan. But I'm not sure she wanted to. "Theater is where you learn to transform yourself and reach an audience, 6 or 7 nights a week. A star actress like Meryl Streep, trained in the theater, can completely transform herself and go deep into a character." But Megan was playing herself, a pretty girl who is personable and intelligent. Her strength was empathy. Throughout her life, Megan never mentioned a theater performance she had seen or enjoyed. Like many aspiring cinema stars, she thought theater was dead. But pertinently, friends could also not recall her gushing about an outstanding screen show. To pursue her film career, Megan asked Thomas to secure a talking part for her in the TV soap General Hospital. Her 5-line appearance was transmitted in November 2002. After 2 more auditions, she was not offered further work, but the principal purpose had been achieved. Her brief appearance secured the all-important Screen Actors Guild Union card. Therefore, she could work as an actress. Thomas Markle paid the $6,000 fee. Her resume, he believed, did not mention that she was mixed race. Megan will later claim that she encountered closed-mindedness about her parentage and her parents' divorce at college. A dorm mate I met in my first week, she recalled, asked if my parents were still together. "You said your mom is black and your dad is white, right?" she said. I smiled meekly, waiting for what could possibly come out of her pursed lips next. "And they're divorced?" I nodded. "Oh, well, that makes sense." I understood the implication and I drew back. I was scared to open this Pandora's box of discrimination, so I sat stifled, swallowing my voice. However, Professor Harvey Young, who focused on African American theater at the college, did not believe that there was racism among the 15,000 students on the campus. He limited himself to a neutral observation, saying Megan was thoughtful and understood what it means to face prejudice and discrimination. During her second year, still uncertain whether she would make it as an actress, Megan asked her uncle, Michael Markle, by then a communications expert for the U.S. government, to arrange a 5-week internship as a junior press officer at the American Embassy in Buenos Aires. "I hated the idea of being this cliché, a girl from Los Angeles who decides to be an actress," she complained later. "I wanted more than that, and I had always loved politics, so applied for an internship." Thomas paid for the study program. Her half-sister Samantha would later claim that Megan was not actually employed in the embassy, but was actually at a school attached to the embassy that arranged work experience. Towards the end of her stay, Megan took the Foreign Service Officers Test, the preliminary to judge whether a candidate is sufficiently proficient to take the more demanding exam to enter the State Department. After never showing any interest in maths, a basic requirement to become a diplomat, she failed the 3-hour exam. The following year, she returned to Buenos Aires to meet a boyfriend. Thomas Markle paid for that trip too. When Megan called from Argentina saying, "I need $500 to get out of the hotel," he sent her the money. On her return from Argentina, she decided that she would follow the cliché, acting. Later, she would mention an introduction to an agent called Drew, who was apparently impressed by her performance in a student film. "You're going to make money," Drew promised, "and I'll take 10. I think you should stick around." No one has since been able to identify Drew. Graduation from Northwestern in 2003 was joyful, though tinged with anxiety as Megan prepared to return home. Los Angeles was a mecca for thousands of young, aspiring actors. The overwhelming majority would be disappointed and end up penniless. At least she had the odds stacked in her favor. "My dad taught me to find my light," she would write. Doria's contribution to her daughter's career was advice about skincare. "Drink 2 liters of water daily," she suggested. "Use a Clarisonic brush, apply sunblock, and get facials." Financed by Thomas Markle, Megan rented a home, bought a used car, and asked her father to pay for the petrol. He also converted her bathroom into a dark room because she wanted to learn about photography. For additional income, she worked in turn as a gift wrapper, a calligrapher for wedding invitations, and as a hostess at Mirabelle, a restaurant in West Hollywood. Mirabelle's waiters were usually unemployed actors seeking parts. Clutching a portfolio of photos, including the typical aspiring actress shot with a revealing neckline and an open midriff, Megan began the tough routine of seeking auditions. Unlike her competitors, she could cite her appearance in General Hospital. She read lines with gusto to casting directors whose routine thank you at the end gave no hint of the outcome. She had learned to control her feelings after rejection. To outsiders, her progress might have appeared meager, but within the industry, even a few inches of celluloid was notched as a success. Her brief appearance as a hot girl in a film called A Lot Like Love starring Ashton Kutcher and one line in Century City were fleeting, but she was doing better than most of her rivals. Her search was a long-term relationship was equally frustrating. They were 6 months with Sean, an actor and screenwriter raised in the Hamptons, whom she had met at Northwestern. That ended after he refused to commit and was followed by 5 months with actor Brett Ryland. That ended because he apparently lacked the right personality. Then followed other actors, Aladdin Tycoon, and an inconsequential night out with Simon Rex, a male porn star. Every evening she set off saying to herself, "You never know. Tonight I might meet the man who will change my life." In 2004, she met Trevor Engelson in a West Hollywood bar. Tall with reddish hair, the ambitious 27-year-old graduate of cinematography at the University of Southern Carolina was starting out as a film producer, targeting the comedy channels with his clients' scripts. In his free time, he listened to hip-hop vicariously, traveled endlessly, and, he told a podcast, played around the clock, explaining, "I'm Jewish and I believe you only have one shot at this life. I'm a gigantic believer that all this shit could come suddenly to an end any minute now. You should have some fun." Starting in the post room of an actor's agency before promotion to a production house, he had been fired for secretly undertaking a freelance production. Soon after, Engelson sold his own film script, The Road to Freaknik, and started a production company, Underground Films 5190. Engelson looked at his competitors and thought, "Fuck him, it'll be me." He did not want to be the average Joe, but get the lottery ticket and be special. Insensitive and self-confident, Engelson's well-honed chat-up lines in the noisy bar impressed Megan, boasting that he worked and played hard, even reading screenplays every morning through his steam shower's glass door. He offered his life's philosophy. "Hope is the greatest currency we have in this business." Then came another favored maxim: "Don't give it 5 minutes if you're not going to give it 5 years." 10 years later, Megan frequently intoned both these lines in speeches to young audiences as her philosophy of life. Engelson was clever and capable of behaving well-mannered, and his family's stable background attracted Megan. He had been brought up in the Jewish community in Great Neck, a prosperous New York commuter town. His father was an orthodontist and his mother a speech therapist. Educated at Great Neck's North High School, Trevor was known as Flowerhead. His friends called themselves the Mud Jews Posse. Trevor was one of the most desirable people you'd want to be in a friendship with, recalled Larry Preto, also raised in Great Neck. Honest, loyal, respectful, with a lot of humility. Engelson's attitude to girls, said Preto, was decent. He didn't just want them as notches on his bedpost. He was old school. If they wanted to shop or go out somewhere, he'd take them into the city. He just wanted to make everyone feel good about themselves. He charmed everybody. Other contemporaries were less complimentary. They thought him brash, conceited, and definitely not the genius he believed himself to be. But Engelson's promise of stability matched Megan's needs, or, more importantly, her illusion. Like so many lured to Hollywood, she was driven by a fantasy of her future. Not just the pursuit of happiness, but also the belief that Trevor could help her, emotionally and professionally. She wanted easy living and freedom from financial stress. In turn, everything about her was new to him. Nanaki Pretty was among the first to meet Megan's latest boyfriend. Trevor was big for her. He was very focused with great connections. It was an opportunity for her to establish relationships with agents. Being at his side and going to those dinners, she loved him. He was very doting. Megan was so besotted by the romance that she could barely keep her hands off Trevor. In public, she hugged and kissed him, and adopting a babyish voice, cooed, "Trevity Trev Trev." Pretty witnessed her sense of triumph. In return, Trevor gave Megan bear hugs. Unable to believe his own good fortune, Trevor told his friends that he had met the hottest chick in California. After a few months, Megan moved into his home on Hilldale, West Hollywood. Thrilled by her catch, she proclaimed, "I've got my toothbrush in his cabinet." Trevor discovered this beautiful woman was also a domestic goddess. "She was definitely a curator of a beautiful life," said Nanaki. "She had a very specific style. She loved her hotel-style bedding, beautiful contrasting black piping detail on crisp white duvets. She loved everything white. Meg was a perfectionist. She liked to throw dinner parties with beautiful menus that complemented flavor profiles with amazing wines." Pretty was describing an idealized snapshot of one evening rather than Megan's routine life. Although Megan, it seemed, had found a genuine partner sympathetic to her insecurity, her reality as a wannabe actress was grim. As she touted herself around the studios, auditions were followed by an inevitable thank you and rejection without reason. Survival in Hollywood, she knew, depended on avoiding the necessity to tell or face up to the truth, and denying rejection when it occurred. There was no alternative. Like a slot machine addict, she needed to keep playing and refused to give up until she had a hit. "My 20s," she wrote, "were brutal, a constant battle with myself, judging my weight, my style, my desire to be as cool, as hip, as smart, as whatever as everyone else. I must have been about 24 when a casting director looked at me during an audition and said, 'You need to know that you're enough. Less makeup, more Megan.' Driving around Los Angeles in a battered Ford Explorer whose front door didn't open, she got in and out through the trunk hatch. She eventually landed brief appearances in TV films including Love Inc., Deceit, and The War at Home. Trevor chose not to cast her in his latest comedy, Zoom. His comedy crashed. Hollywood, a town of competition rather than compassion, was unforgiving towards Trevor and Megan. In 2006, both ranked among the thousands of eager, desperate, and flailing unknowns blitzed by snyness and malice. Their noses were pressed against the glass, enviously beseeching the industry's moguls. Any success would depend on a mixture of hard graft, genuine talent, and unexpected luck.